What's going on, y'all? It's time for another Robo Rider review. I know it's been a long time coming. We've been struggling with the pandemic and the quarantine and everything else, but we're back and we got another movie to review. This week's movie is Fatal Affair. It's a new Netflix thriller starring Nia Long and Omar Epps, actually produced by Nia Long, her first producing credit. So shouts out to Nia Long for that. That's one of the few good things I can say about this movie, but we're going to get into it and do as we always do. I'm going to give my pros, then my cons, and at the end I'm going to give it a letter grade. So without further ado, this is Fatal Affair. The story is pretty much your classic thriller, fatal attraction type deal where there's one person and another person. They're kind of going through some stuff. Nia Long, the one kind of going through some stuff in this one. And she has a small little dalliance with an old friend played by Omar Epps, but it goes terribly wrong because he's a complete psychopath, unbeknownst to her, who's already done a lot of crazy stuff in his life. So, and then you get all the chaos that ensues after that. But the pros in the movie are, for me, Omar Epps. I thought he gave a good performance. I thought he was believable as somebody that was completely off his rocker. Like, it was some stuff where, like, yo, that's really creepy. Like, and it really, it got to you like, all right, I could buy that. I could buy him being completely nuts and somebody that could kill somebody or somebody with some anger management issues. So I thought he did a good job. Everybody else was kind of, paint by numbers and really didn't like go out of their element too much as far as, what the roles asked of them. Like Nia Long was pretty typical as a leading woman. But Omar Epps did a really good job. He really was able to showcase a little bit more range than we're used to seeing him. Usually a leading man. He's been like, some of those kind of street movies back in the day, and then he's been in a lot of, TV now. So like this was stepping out of his usual comfort zone, and I like that from Omar Epps. So that was pretty good. That's one of my pros. My second pro is the timing of the movie and the way it progressed. I thought it went really smoothly and really quickly, which was a good thing because it wasn't a really good movie, but it did go really fast. The pacing was well. I mean, it was only 89 minutes, and you flew through it like that. Like, you didn't even, notice, how fast it was going by. You looked up, and you're like, yo, this thing is almost over. It seems like nothing. So, I thought that was good. Those are pretty much my two pros. There wasn't really much else other than that was really good about the movie. Like I said, Omar Epps was good. He came off as really scary, and the timing was good. The pacing was good. The movie went really fast. It was really a frenetic pace, so that was good. There wasn't really any lulls or slow parts in it. Now it's time for the cons, and there are a lot of cons in this movie. I'm telling you, the biggest con for me was the writing and the script and all the story beats. I mean, it was full of cliches. If I had $1 for every cliche and trope they put in this movie, I'd probably be a millionaire. I mean, from just everything that you can imagine from one of these type thrillers, you knew what was coming. You knew what was coming next. You knew who was going to do what their motivation was going to be. You're like, oh, here comes the best friend. I bet you she's not going to believe me alone because you can't believe the protagonist in these movies. Clearly, the dude isn't crazy. She don't know what she's talking about. Like, they played that all up. The husband was no use. Like, he didn't see anything coming. He was oblivious to everything like they do the mates in these movies, the spouses in these movies who don't realize their significant other is getting stalked or some crazy stuff is happening. And also, like, a lot of the other moving parts, like, they just didn't gel, and it just was crazy in some scenes where you know what's coming next, you know what the character is going to say, you know what's going to happen. You weren't shocked by anything, and it was really repetitive as to what we've seen a dozen times in these kind of movies. My second con was the supporting actors outside of Nia Long and Omar Epps. The actors, the other parts, the other characters, I mean, there was nothing to them. They were very vanilla. They were very plain. Some of them did nothing. I mean, you name it. The best friend, the daughter's boyfriend, the assistant at the law firm that Nia Long worked at, the detective that's supposed to be on the case, all useless. I mean, they did nothing. I mean, the boyfriend barely had 3 lines, and then they showed how much he didn't matter at the end of the movie. I won't get into too many spoilers, but they show how much he mattered to the rest of the cast and the rest of the characters at the end of the movie by just having them sit there. But whatever. Like, so many of these characters were unnecessary. The daughter didn't need a boyfriend. He didn't do anything. He didn't need to be there. The cop was dumb as dirt. It was like, you know, how did she get a badge? And it just made what could have been a smarter thriller, a smarter one of these movies, really dumb, really simplistic, and really cookie cutter, which made it not very enjoyable to see. I mean, it kept your attention because, like I said, it was so short and it went by real fast. But a lot of these characters just, they were there for no reason. And even with some of the tropes we're used to, where like you get a really unlikable character, so you kind of hope something goes bad, and then it does, but it's not fully paid off. Or they give you certain plot points where they'll tell you one thing and you think that'll get paid off, and it doesn't. Like there's a part toward, kind of the middle toward the end of the movie where, they play the typical, oh, this crazy psycho is just hanging around the family. Unbeknownst to them, he's got this killer mindset and wants to do harm, but nobody notices it. And he's out golfing with the husband and all of that. And they get into the husband's backstory, which you would think connects back to Omar Epps, but they don't even make that leap. They don't even say that. It's left for the viewer to be like, hey, I wonder if Omar Epps is the cause of, what his history and the husband's history and backstory is. But you don't get none of that. It doesn't get paid off, and they never mention it again. And it's for those reasons, the story, the script writing, and all those supporting actors really, not that they were given much to work with, but being completely useless is why this movie is not all that good. And at the end of the day, the Robo Writer grade is a C-. It's slightly below average. It's not completely horrible because it does go by so fast and you don't have time to linger and be bored to death and really get upset at it. You can get through it pretty quick. So that's why it's not super bad, but it's definitely a mediocre movie. Like I said, the Robo Writer grade is a C-. That was Fatal Affair. I've been your boy, Robbo the Writer, and I'll see you in the theater.